Isn't it great being near a newly engaged couple? The giggles, the smiles, the inside jokes. I am probably going to get yelled at for this, but I remember my oldest brother when he got engaged to his British Kala. He used to say sweet things like, I love the way she says my name, Mutty. Early love, infatuation. Some books call it romantic love. Some may even call it limerence. It is how many relationships start. The first stage of a relationship can be called symbiosis. In this stage, partners feel emotionally fused, highly connected, and often believe they have found their missing half. In this stage, we focus on similarities and we downplay differences. But here's the thing: symbiosis never lasts. And at some point, the second stage of marriage will set in. This could be a few weeks into the marriage or months later. This is when reality sets in and you start thinking, oh no, who is this man I married? What kind of weirdo thinks like that? He is not normal. Let's call this stage disillusionment. My goal today is to make you realize that disillusionment is normal and an important part of moving from infatuation to mature love. That feeling of he is so heartless or loud or messy or late or whatever it is that makes you and your husband different is experienced by every couple. So, how can a couple be happy despite these super irritating differences? The answer is to choose humility. I remember in early marriage, my husband had a line he would use on me that was, in my opinion, pretty nasty. Whenever I showed him the way normal people did things, he would say, of course, the better way for the better way. And I tell you, he had some pretty weird ways that I really felt needed correcting. What I didn't realize is that me teaching him the better way to be, the better way to drive, the better way to think, I was murdering the potential for mature, deep, long term love. Ladies, this is what men say about us. They say we nag, we correct, we tell them how to talk at the Shabbos table and how to parent our children. Where did we get this arrogance to believe that we know how our husbands need to be? And by the way, many good men won't put us in our place when we nag. They will just eventually start moving away emotionally. They will shut down. So I believe the number one secret to happily ever after is a combination of real humility and acceptance. It is the ultimate in Ahavas Yisrael. I can see you. I know you super duper well, and I love you. I believe that is what every man and honestly woman wants. The humility you need for that is quite an avoda. Let's use an example of one of the most common fights today: parenting. The women are reading or listening to parenting experts. We hear that our kids need to be validated and given choices. Those shoes are not so comfortable, sweetheart. Would you like to wear your Shabbos shoes to school today? I am exaggerating, maybe, to prove a point. Husband enters and is racing to take your son to school. He has a minion or work or something he wants to get on to on time. Your delicious Albi Nudnik child is fetching or even tantruming about the shoe options. You are following the book and validating the emotions. Your husband scoops your son up and says, stop it. Tati is late and you need to come now. What might run through your head is something like, what an uneducated brute my husband is. So I'm asking you to start thinking a little differently. Humility means thinking that although I believe the best way to parent our child is in, say, a gentle parenting way, my husband does things differently. He is a parent just like I am. He has the right to do life the way he wants. We are both the parents Hashem wants for this child. Now, here is where I have to give a disclaimer because abuse is never okay. And if you are not sure if that's an issue that's going on in your house, you must get professional help. Shalom Bayis should never come at the expense of children. Now, here is something that most people don't realize about relationships. What people don't seem to get is that love is not just an emotion that happens naturally. Just like playing an instrument, love needs to be studied, practiced, and refined. And now I want to talk about some of the really hard shalom bayis issues people are dealing with today. I'm choosing to do this here because I see real suffering in my work every day. And I believe if talking about this will help even one person feel less alone, then this is a helpful speech. Let's talk about the husband that does not seem to want to connect. He is on his phone, like always. You try being nice, you try yelling, nothing helps. I invite you to stop and think. Was will dem Eibishter von mir? What does Hashem want from me? I believe Hashem wants kindness, compassion, understanding, and clearly communicated boundaries. Chesed and Dvora. Here is one thing you can try. Hi, I am not comfortable with the amount of YouTube you are watching, but of course I will not tell you how to live. What I will ask you though is that our home not have that energy. So can you not play that stuff anywhere the kids can hear it, like not at the table or maybe use headphones? I am sure you do not want them hearing this stuff either. Thanks so much for hearing me out. Stealing a little from the field of addictions, it is really good to recognize that which you cannot change, and also to recognize Hashem chose this relationship for you. You are meant to grow in some way from whatever hardships your marriage is causing. The last thing I want to talk about today is the reason why many men are using tech obsessively or seem to not connect with you or your kids that much. There is a huge amount of men suffering from mild depression, or what us professionals like to call dysthymia. What causes this depression? Men judge their own worth based on their performance. So if money is the parameter that your husband is basing his worth around and he isn't rich, he will feel like an absolute garnished. He will feel like a nobody. And for those of you that have husbands that are in Kiddush, like shluchim or teachers, don't worry. Your husband can think he is a garnish too. If the class didn't go so great, or the minyan at the Chabad house didn't happen, it could be anything. Remember, his perceived failure about anything, like not being the greatest Talmid Chacham that ever lived, may give him the feeling of absolute uselessness. One of the ways he might deal with dysthymia or low level depression is by numbing out on his device. The noise of tech works to alleviate the symptoms of his depression. So, what can you do? And this is the interesting part because it is counterintuitive. You might think you should overfunction and not ask him to help you in any way. But what's interesting is that if he can perform for you and the family in a way that really truly is good, he will feel much better. In other words, in what way can this wonderful husband of yours serve you that could really improve your life? Figure that out and communicate what you would like in the kindest way possible. Don't feel like you are being needy and selfish. You are actually helping him heal. Of course, he may decide he does not want to help you, and that is his choice. But you tried, and that's all you can do. There is so much more to talk about, but I will stop here. Thank you so much for hearing me out.